Fascinated by the motivation of Shaun Wade's father. His son is a top 10 to 15 pick in the NFL draft. Even if he doesn't play, I got to think that not playing doesn't really hurt him, but the drive, the motivation, the passion to want to play football and see this season through, it's pretty impressive to me, unless I'm missing something.
No, I agree with you, and that has been something that's kind of led me to scratch my head as well. That you know they've picked up this cause, and Randy in particular picked it up. Has been so eloquent about what he's trying to do here, and you're right. His son isn't one of the people who absolutely need to play. I mean, it would help his cause if he's able to go out and play at a high level. He might move up from early second or late first up to high first, but kind of like Jeff Okuda did last year. But I agree with you. It's been very illuminating to me that people who are behind kids, and again, like Fields doing his petition drive that basically meant nothing to the Big Ten. They've never even addressed it or anything of that nature. I don't know. It just the whole thing. You want to salute these people for all the activity and everything that they've done, and yet you just wonder what's been accomplished by any of it. And you hope something comes of it. So I agree with you. I salute Randy Wade for what he's done. The event last Friday was very simple. It was not meant to be an in your face type thing. It was more of a we are concerned parents, and we feel that a decision was made in error. We'd like to know more about what happened with the decision, some transparency, and consider, if you would, that a way to make this right for our kids and all the athletes. I mean, they were speaking for athletes in every fall sport at every Big Ten school. It was, I think, that what happened there, in my opinion, and I had lunch with Tony after we attended the rally. Seemed to me there was a pressure that was building. Okay, that week that they're coming to Chicago to make a national scene about what the Big Ten did. And on Wednesday of that week is when Kevin Warren and the conference put out their letter, which really didn't give you any more information on what the decision was or why, but did firmly state, we will not revisit this, that we consider this matter closed, or whatever their wording was. And I think they short-circuited the parents' meeting. They really took a lot of the starch and the steam out of that meeting because the Big Ten had made it apparent, or put it in writing, that this is a done deal. We are not going back on this. And that's unfortunate that in this day and age, I understand decisions need to be made and these kind of things and whatever, but I think in media coverage since then, to some of his favorite reporters, like Pete Amell and Teddy Greenstein and Nicole Arbach, his big three, maybe, as we might forget about Bosch and Dwayne Wade and LeBron. We've got a new big three, and it's Nicole Arbach, Pete Amell, and Teddy Greenstein, with a side dish of Shannon Ryan from the Chicago Tribune writing a thing that the parents from Ohio State should just shut up and take it, or whatever. That was her message without saying it in those words. Don't stand up for your kids. Randy Wade made a very good point in the rally. He said, we stand up and we use our voice, he said, because we're not paid by the college. We have our own jobs. We're not beholden to the college. The coach can't do it because he's got a contract, an employment contract with the school. He can't come out against the school or the Big Ten. The kids can't do it because they've got a scholarship agreement with the school, and they probably can't disparage the school as part of that, or risk losing their scholarship, or risk losing their status as a starter or backup or whatever, get their extra pair of gloves and shoes or whatever. You don't get those this week. Oh yeah, you got left off that list. How the behind the scenes crap happens. So parents did speak up because they're the only ones who can. And in this case, I applaud them for what they did. again, where it's going to lead, I don't know. But Warren, getting back, I'm going to brand these guys the big three: Teddy Greenstein, Pete DeMel, Nicole Arbach. They all seem to have an entree to the Big Ten commissioner, and he picks and chooses who he wants to talk to. And that's my line. You can quote me on that one.
I just think it's interesting how Randy Wade is doing all this work on Sean's behalf for Sean to just up and go to LSU after Orgeron came out and started trying to recruit players from the Big Ten and the Pac-12. I mean, that big fat Cajun hasn't, and I'm fat, so it's my word, I can use it. That big fat Cajun, he obviously doesn't understand what tampering is, but I did sit there when everybody's like, "Oh, I'm so worried about XYZ leaving." I'm like, "Well, we're just a couple weeks away from the season, and if you're worried about Shaun Wade at this point, Randy is putting on frequent flyer miles. He's going to be up here for the rally on Saturday and everything else. That's a lot of work on a car that is up on blocks and has no engine in it. So it's interesting."
I will say this for Randy, and it was Shaun Wade has two high school teammates, or I don't know, I wouldn't say teammates. One Tyreek Johnson was a high school teammate with Shaun Wade. He's a redshirt sophomore corner, and then they have a redshirt freshman, Marcus Crowley, who's a running back from the same high school. And Randy Wade is very close with those kids as well. And so I'll just share it. When I talked to Randy well before all of this stuff went down, I told him, hey, when Sean's gone, don't be a stranger. And he's like, I still got two kids left at Ohio State, so I'm still a Buckeye dad. And so that just gives you some of the insight into why he is fighting so hard, because it's not just for Sean. And as you said, Sean's going to be fine regardless. There's other players there that maybe don't have anybody speaking out for them. And so that's why that's just part of why he's doing that. Steve said, talking about the Shannon Ryan thing, I wanted to mention for people who are dismissive of how many people were there Friday, as my podcast co-host Tom Orr says, if 25 or 30 people show up to your job to say you're not doing a very good job, that's not insignificant. That's pretty significant when 25 people take their time out of their day to come from all over the Midwest, all over the country, to say like, hey, you're doing a pretty shoddy job. That's not something you just dismiss. That's a lot of people. And then to touch on the Ed Orgeron thing, when he puts that out there and then the AP just runs it for him. I'm reading the tweet from the AP guy in New Orleans or wherever, and it's like it was an ad. They're running an ad for a cornerback for LSU, and I was completely shocked by that. That's where things are now, and that's what was deemed to be the most important thing to report out of that from the AP is, hey everybody who's not playing, LSU needs a corner. LSU's a pretty good program. If you're a corner or any corners, maybe call up Ed Orgeron, his numbers in the book, see what can happen. They have the transfer portal for that. They don't need the AP to go running messages for them. I didn't like that much at all.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think, but this had to be expected that there would be some tampering and these kind of things. I think, timing may have played into this, that the Big Ten didn't cancel until right up against the start of school. And there may be some NCAA legalities, like once somebody has started the fall semester at one school, they can't go play somewhere else in the same semester. So I don't know what all the restrictive rules are about that. But if their school that they have the scholarship to isn't sponsored court this season, it would seem to me they'd get a free pass and instant eligibility somewhere else. But guess we should never assume how the NCAA is going to rule on things like that. Just a terrible, terrible situation made worse by poor leadership, poor judgment, and I don't know. I'm just again, just like Kevin. I'm back to being disgusted by the whole thing. So,
Ohio State 8 AP poll natties, not necessarily rolling off the tongue, but we have a good back and forth from time to time. He's still mad at me for not recognizing Ohio State's 1970 national championship in which they lost the Rose Bowl to Jim Plunkett and Stanford, and wants me to do a video going through the entire season and the national championship contenders and so forth. But he did recognize today is our 68th edition, which could honor the 68 national championship team that, of course, won the Rose Bowl over O.J. Simpson and company. 50-14, didn't go for 3 against Michigan. Never forget. Good stuff.